Panel discussion on the topic of cybersecurity as service. Moderator is N.K. Mehta, Sir, MD, CEO, Secure Network Solutions, India Private Limited. Let's welcome Sir with a round of applause, please. Hands up in the air. Followed by our panelist here, Tushar Parekh, Founder and Managing Director, Silicon Net Secure Private Limited, Vishal Binra, CEO, ACPL Systems, Kinshuk Day, Cybersecurity Practice, Tara Consultancy Services, Rahul Goswami, Associate General Manager, Marketer, HCL Tech, Bridget Huang, MSP Account Manager, APAC, Casper Sky. Let's welcome the dignitaries here on stage with a round of applause. Come on, people, buck it up. Let's welcome them with a round of applause, please. And I would now ask the moderator of the session here with us, yes, N.K. Mehta, sir, to please take the lead forward. Thank you so much. Kindly get settled and seated. Okay, so let's make it easier for sir here. As you all know, this is the moderator of the session, N.K. Mehta, sir. Tushar Parekh, sir, is here with us. Hi, okay, super. Vishal Bindra, sir. Vishal Bindra? Maybe he's outside, he's coming. All right, and we of course have the lady Bridget Huang here with us. Thank you, Bridget, for joining us. Rahul Goswami, sir, here. So, now the moderator knows you. So, sir, are you happy? All right, good to know that. Now you're in meeting in person here.
Hello, hello. We have to wait for Vishal. Vishal is sure. So, Kikshuji, we wanted to answer anyway all questions. Then you sent three more different ones. Still were right questions, I could not remove it. I say so. Yeah, it's relevant, so I could not remove it. There are a lot of Kinshuk Day. I was trying to search. I don't know which one. I saw Kinshuk Day, TCS search. I'm not getting it actually. In the LinkedIn.
Sorry, I was nervous.
Okay. I know you every time make us wait, so we are used to it.
He likes to make an entrance.
Yeah. It's a big guy. Okay, so can we start? Are we okay to go? Yeah, okay. So very good afternoon, everyone, and thanks SME channel for this opportunity. Personally, to moderate this event, and we have industry veterans sitting out here. So let's start without wasting much time. And what better way to start with the Dawn of Delhi, my competitor come friend. So we always call as a competitor friend. So he's a Dawn of Delhi, so I will start with you, Vishal Saab, right? So Vishal Saab, just guide us about the state of market, right, from vulnerability standpoint, and how can MSSPs like us help?
So I think next time we should not have him as a moderator. What he does is that he finds out what I'm doing and then goes out and implements it in his organization next year and makes more money than me, because now he also knows what mistakes he makes. Okay, so not correct. Okay, and you
try to copy. TCS is there, HCL is there.
Yeah. Okay. So I think state of affairs from vulnerability perspective, I don't think there is any magic thing that I'll be saying that what are the numbers and other things. I think they are now beyond control. I think that is a state which we need to do, and I think very interestingly, one of the largest MSSP programs which we ran. Yeah. So I think one of the most interesting thing for last one and a half years which has happened is that has happened in the area of vulnerability management also for us is because customers, there are 2-3 things. One is that for them to understand that what is really happening, because, they want to focus on business. They want to understand, they want to do the security. Security has 2 important aspects. One is in, actual data security or securing their, business. Other is obviously, compliance is becoming a very, very important thing which they need to report. So I think, although they are interconnected, but I'll still keep them separately, which is there. And that is how, the world is really happening, and they do not have enough people who understand what the vulnerability management program means, how to run it, how to prioritize. I think, if you look at only Tuesday patches and, other things, there's so much of work that comes on board. So, depending on how to create process, how to create test beds, how to create, how to really deploy and, probably go back and check. It's a large, PDCA kind of a, cycle which continuously needs to go on. And so they need external help for somebody to separately continue to look at this as a program now. So, I think for a lot of people who especially work with enterprise, and I'm sure my friends on my left will agree that, this is one program which, starts to define security posture right from the basis. And that is why I think most of the MSPs should have a very strong focus on that particular thing. And that market is growing exponentially. I may not have the right numbers in terms of growth of percentage and other things, but I can tell you that, from, maybe 4 projects, about 365 days back, today we have 11 projects which we are running. So that itself, will give you the growth that is happening in a very small vendor like us. And imagine that, where the success could, and the number of customers, the customer size, the largest vendor where we are doing the vulnerability management program is about 180,000 endpoints. For him, the complexity is so high that he does not have capability to really manage that. So it's a dangerous situation for them, but it's a huge opportunity for us.
Thank you, Vishal Saab. Yeah, thank you, Vishal Saab. Now let me move to Tushar Saab. Yeah. Tushar, can you add something on that about the vulnerability standpoint, from vulnerability standpoint of view, and how partners like us can help?
Hello, everyone. Okay, now that's a very valid point, Mehtaji. Okay, in the current market scenario that we're looking at, the overall cloud explosion, what we are going through, it is no longer a single point that, that it's only a MSSP responsibility. It is also a customer responsibility that everybody needs to cater end-to-end security when it's no longer that, okay, you just need to have a firewall or different products running in silos. You need each and every product to be talking to each other. It should be able to integrate at a back end wherein reporting is correlated. You need to understand whether what is the overall security posture, whether your application security is in place. So there are multiple vectors that security needs to be taken care of from time and again. And also when we look at as a MSSP model, it is we have started pitching to a lot of customers. But again, people are really skeptical when it comes to totally sharing up data. So it is, of course, an ongoing activity at the moment. And as partners, we are gearing up for it. And we see a lot of traction in this movement. Thank you.
Yes, Tusharji, I would like to add another question to you.
Sure.
I will move to them because they are larger partners, but I think most of us will relate to some SME partners.
What we are going through, yeah.
What we are doing. So another question, tell me frankly, whatever is your experience, abroad I think it's going on very well, but are the customers in India ready for it? The MSSP model, I'm saying, or are they ready to pay for it?
Okay, so in continuation to what just we discussed some time ago, I'll just give you an example. Probably I think people will be able to correlate better.
Yes.
So now if you're looking at targeted attacks happening with a lot of banking, with a lot of NBFC customers, it had happened that, you hear some incident happening every 15 days wherein some particular NBFC or a bank is targeted and the data is out on the dark web. So when we talk about that, and when compliance mandates come into play, the banks or the NBFCs or most of the enterprise customers as well have a mandate to secure the entire network, including the vulnerability and pen testing of their network devices, applications, databases. So, coming to the literal point wherein people are ready to spend or not, yes, that's a question in place, because they want everything to be sasta, sundar and tikau, which does not come together, practically. When we talked about people being there, you need to have 3 shifts or 24/7. Plus you also need to cover weekends, so you need an additional shift in place. So if you look at the overall cost, your total cost, it is the customer who at the end of the day pays for that, for the kind of service that they are looking for. So definitely, yes, it is a cost on the customer, but it's a headache outsourced, when we talk about the readiness. But yes, when it boils down to the cost of it, it's always an issue. And this is also with NBFCs, which we pitched across, and they are yet considering on that when it comes to the total cost. Thank you.
Thank you, Tushar. Vishal, carrying on the same point, do you think the market in India for MSSP is ripe enough? And are the customers ready to pay?
So agreeing to most of the points, what Tushar said, but it is growing, and it's growing at, very, very good rate. I think today, and all the MSSPs we have closed are all in India. And if I look at our services contracts compared to last year to this year, the average growth that has happened in terms of customers paying us is about roughly more than about 38 to 42% extra over and above what they have paid.
Nice, very nice.
And this happens because of 2 important things, which is there. And first, while a customer is signing a contract, he would be very, very rigid in terms of, what is he signing for, how is he, working in terms of pricing, and, what is the other things which is there. But when you look at a 3-year cycle with him, he realizes the value which is getting delivered, cost he's saving on the manpower, and the operations cost and other things. And if you're able to, the very important questions, which I think that, we need to learn very, very strongly from, established players like HCL, TCS or other people, is that how do you really create the documentation and the value proposition that you have created so that it is also understood by the customer. At end of the day, customer is paying to the value, and he normally, when he is first time negotiating, he says, I pay maybe 10 lakhs for this guy, why are you charging 12 lakh for this guy? So he'll probably negotiate it that way. But when he will start to look at that, how the whole program is being run, then he wants to add more and more to that value. So my request would be, when we are looking at an MSP program, it is also to be looked at from a perspective that what is our 3-year TCO kind of a program rather than a first-year program. Because first-year entry barriers in India will definitely be there. I am not privy to what are the methods that our other friends use, but this is what we use, is that the first, it is a tapered up profit business year over year, because then it is about adding more services to it and the similar teams delivering it. So I think MSP, if you're running an MSP and you're looking at a customer to be your MSP and other things, I think please start looking at a 3-year TCO rather than looking at each year TCO and then looking at that particular.
It's like a mutual fund. We should look at long term.
Long term. Yeah.
Thank you, Vishalji. So Rahul sir, let me move to you. Can we have some more mics, please? A couple of the mics are not working. So Rahul sir. We have been talking about MSSP, it's the buzzword as of now. So this whole MSSP ecosystem, do you think it's ready to take care of all the challenges which customers are facing? Vishal sir pointed to something 1,80,000 point, and their challenges were huge. What is your advice about it?
See, if we look at the evolution of industry as a whole, okay, the focus, the impetus on security as the primer in the enterprise growth has accelerated in the last 10, 12, 15 years when the shift has taken towards digitalization. Okay, a lot of buying cycles or purchase that are happening online that actually created a need where the cybersecurity as a function, cybersecurity as a need must be invested heavily into. Now, large enterprises who are $1 billion plus revenue or who actually position themselves as the leading forces in industry, they have three parameters to decide upon whether they want to partner with MSPs in the area of cybersecurity or not. And those parameters are cost, efficiency, and acceleration. If they have to scale their growth, they have to think whether they are ready to compromise on any of these parameters, and that's why the need of MSP comes into picture. MSP also has to think that if they have to serve the large and global enterprises so that they can help them achieve better cost efficiency, they can help them scale their own products, or they can help them increase their revenues, then they have to be ready. And how they can be ready? They can be ready by either creating those kind of products which are ready to take to the market in conjunction with the large enterprises, or they are ready to partner with those enterprises and create joint IPs. Okay. So I would say that MSPs of today, which are serving into the space of cybersecurity, or whether it is data security or network security, and or whether it is end-to-end security, so I believe they are ready. Okay, but they have to understand what are the prevalent challenges. Okay, both from the enterprise standpoint and from the consumer standpoint, because the lens with which the enterprises look at the consumer needs might be different from the lens with which consumers like you and me look at the business requirements or challenges. So the MSPs have to understand the psychology of both large enterprises as well as end consumers, that how they are also seeing the security as the core need. So I believe MSPs of today are ready, but they have to kind of keep on building their product base in order to be a co-innovator in the journey of large enterprises.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahul sir. King Shukta, I like to move to you because you have a lot of global experience as well. So what is the main difference you see in MSSP as being offered in India from Indian partner point of view and global MSSP providers?
I'll just give you a little example.
Sir,
I'll give you a little example. Am I audible first?
Yeah.
Okay. So like last 4 years, I was based out of United States in New Jersey, providing obviously as cybersecurity services to our customers. And I was involved in aggregation. That means the largest pharmaceutical company in the United States, where he decided to completely go to a managed services model. That means he said, whatever we do in IT, that is complete IT, including security services.
Okay.
This is my spend. He gave us the full data, and he says, can you reduce my spend to 50%?
Okay.
It was a very straightforward model. He had a spend, and we said we'll do it at $1 billion a year. So at the end of it, we as a large organization, we do a turnover of about 25 plus billion in a year. We have to say that here is an organization, we have to help him optimize. We have to provide him the skills, the competency.
Okay.
We have to scale to his level. And see, obviously there are issues of turnover of manpower. He also faces that same problem. We also face the same problem. So we should be able to scale up. Scalability is a very important issue. Quality is a very important issue. Now you asked a specific question, the West versus us. There, of course, they are matured. See, you have to also see where is this whole business coming from? Where did outsourcing start? There was an arbitrage between the dollar and the rupee.
Yes.
It still exists. So that is the whole premise of this whole business, why Indian IT services has actually proliferated. A service which in US costs $125,000 US, can be delivered, or let us say at $125 an hour can be delivered at 16, 18, 24 or $28 in India. So that is how the whole business has proliferated. Now one model is MSP. The West had more deeper pockets. They had matured infrastructure. They needed IT service providers to manage their infrastructure, their applications. They used the IT to further their business objectives, whatever be the field they are, right from somebody who's making tiles, we spoke about tiles, to somebody who's into pharmaceutical business or a high-tech business or a retail, whatever be the business. They created lot of IT, services or IT, enabled businesses, and obviously there was a huge requirement of back-end managing the whole infrastructure, and that is how outsourcing vendors proliferated. And one model was end-to-end, you take over everything. That means I will focus on my core business. Okay. Let us say I am Walmart, or I am a Costco in US. I will focus on my core business. You handle all this back-end thing. So, and we end-to-end took over everything, end-to-end, right from strategy to tactical to operational tasks. So that is the model, and why probably large service providers, I will call, were successful, because they could scale. TCS, every second IT person in this country is a TCSer. We at a time can throw 40,000 people to a customer and say, we will skill up whatever you need, because that is where we can scale. Okay. So that is where, the model has been successful. And at the end of it, while, it is a pyramidal structure, we are continuously hiring people, we are training, we are bringing them to a certain level, pushing them into projects, they are learning, there is turnover, there is a good project leader who somehow manages the team, he delivers the SLA, the coverage, whatever, end-to-end services somebody mentioned, but that is thing. But now coming to the India point, in India, so still, are we still there? We are not there. Oh. I'm being very honest. Are we there? Because our, if you look at our revenue, how much business of that is coming from India, it is sub 10%.
Oh, sub 10%.
Sub 10%. Oh. That means India is, for a company like ours, less than 10% is coming from India business. But India is $1.4 billion people now. So are we there? Yes, it is growing, but we have to, obviously there has to be investment in technology, we have to manage technology, and then, then the MSP model will come in. See, if you see the last 3 years, so much of push has been there for cloud data centers to come in. Last 3-4 years. It's, right. So obviously today you see how many booths of the cloud vendors are here. Mm-hmm. So it is growing, but is the, obviously when there's a crisis, people go, they say, okay, get that MSP, hire the MSP. It is reactive as of now, not proactive.
So King Shukla, so another follow-up question to you. See, when you say there is arbitrage, we understand $125 per hour outside,
to about $20, yeah.
Okay, about $20 here. Now, why should a company like you focus on India market? The whole thing is you also will like to have that leverage anyway, right?
So, I'll be just on, who in India is, I'll not use the word is able to afford. Mm-hmm. See, at the end of it, there's a quality of service.
But sir, it's a fact.
It is so there is a,
let me reframe the question. If I am Walmart, I'm paying $125 in US.
For an US associate.
For a US, yes, for a US-based service.
And I can get that done from somebody in India at 24, 22 right. or 20.
So they see a huge value, right?
That is cost efficiency for them.
Correct. Now an Indian customer, he doesn't see that much leverage anyway. So how do you think that India...
So who in India is able to afford it? Let's be very honest. It is some of the government sectors
right.
who have budgeted it. And as long as they are able to, in their RFP system, they are able to decide or discern quality, that I need this. They write the qualitative requirement in a certain way that they own, they set a particular threshold.
Okay.
Otherwise, if it is L1, then, assurance suffers because there is no arbitrage.
Correct.
See, let's see what's the entry level of anybody who joins TCS.
Right.
He is minimum about 4 lakhs a month. Any engineer that we hire, he starts at 4
You want to say
lakhs.
just-
So now, next 6 months, he is not productive. So a lot of investment is at him. So at some stage, you have to, finally, we are also working at some profitability.
Of course.
TCS works at about 26% gross margin.
That's a nice one. I don't think we make that, right?
Yeah.
Some
So
other
I'm
partners.
telling you, we work at 26% gross margin
No comment.
globally in our revenue. That means that much is our profit. So are we able to do that profit with that India, the services that I offer to India? It is squeezed.
Okay.
So prefer to pick up a business from there, but we are not averse to doing business in India.
Okay, good. Thank you, King Sridhar. Bridget, hope I pronounced correctly. Bridget? Yes. Okay, Bridget, you are coming from an OEM point of view. You are, for the audience here, she is account manager for MSP from Kaspersky, right? Okay. So this question to you. So how is your MSSP, I understand you do great business, how is your MSSP helping maximize the value of customers' investment in terms of cybersecurity, from security point of view?
Okay, so when you look at maximizing cybersecurity investments, first we have to understand that partners, whether it is from the customer perspective, perspective, there has been a lot of investment in cybersecurity solutions, and yet on a daily basis, I think we hear this throughout the day, we are still facing a lot of cybersecurity attacks day in, day out. So this is happening because this could mean that the companies are not investing in the right solution, or they may not be investing in the right product. So where MSSP can come to the picture is that, okay, they function as the trusted advisor to their customers. So to this effect, they actually do very rigorous testing of the product and solutions that they put into their portfolio. So they test the products they put in their portfolio for quality of protection, to see that whether it is well integrated together, and it has been pointed, as also mentioned by our fellow panelists, it has to be well integrated together so that there is no visibility gaps in the solution that's provided. Yeah, so all this help to make sure that they help to maximize the investment so that the customers can actually have a measurable, definable outcome, such as mean time to detect and also mean time to response. Okay, on the other hand, we look at the more financial aspects. So this is what also many partners are also very interested in. So MSSP, because of their shared infrastructure, their shared resources, they are able to offer services to their customers at a lower cost. Okay. So this again allow their customers to purchase more services that otherwise they would not be able to when they have everything in-house.
Thank you, Bridget. Okay, Vishal sir, quickly to you, I would like to touch the same question to you. How do you think your MSSP is adding value to customers from cybersecurity point of view?
So I think we'll probably use the analogy what he used from a arbitrage perspective. I think, one of the things that, is the market fully prepared to adopt MSP? Answer is no. We still are very, very, control freak. That, we want this, everything under our control. We don't want remote delivery. One is also from the perspective of that. Second is that I think, the customers that we are focusing on, and I think one of the things that we thought that was a very successful model was where customers knew that they had a problem and they needed to solve that problem, and they needed our services more from a technology arbitration, rather than saying that, it's a currency arbitration which is there. They knew that, we would be able to provide better technology and better expertise, because heterogeneous, when you go into a cybersecurity environment, and of course, everybody sitting here would, appreciate that. We are not going with a single platform. We are looking at a heterogeneous environment. We are looking at, a lot of new things coming in. So we are working on 3 different issues with every account. One is to look at how do we really ensure that, there is a, they're investing in new technology, and they also have some established old technologies which they are continuing to renew. Some are working fine, some because of the cost factor. So you need to ensure that you should have that skill sets, which are there. So I think what we have been able to create is roughly about cross-sectional 40 different skill set models, which we have been able to create internally, which is there. And I think scale, of course, we are nowhere even visible in terms of scale, which, TCS or HCL can talk about.
Right,
but I think in security, we still believe that, there is a huge scale which we bring on the table with the, large teams which is available. And I think the third very important thing is that, the structure of the model which we've created, how do we really deliver cyber defense, how do we deliver a governance model on that, and how do we really do compliance models on that particular thing.
Right.
So I think those 3 models need to be very clearly done, and I think it's a slow process. It is one customer at a time. It is not something that, we will have every day, we will have a customer addressing it. But again, I'll reiterate one very important thing, that every single customer that we've acquired has doubled their revenue with us every year on the services. Because I think it is, the most important thing is that the first time is definitely going to be difficult, because he is only looking at from that perspective of saying that, how do I even cost you? How do I mean, they will probably come with a statement saying, I'm looking to lowering this cost. And, you have to take a different role, because cost actually is going to go up. It's not going to come down, it's going to go up, because you will need to now spend money on trying to look at better governance models.
That becomes difficult to convince, right?
Yeah, it becomes,
Initially.
but it sometimes also works as a shock value, that customer actually starts to listen to you. How is it that, I was under a process of saying that, it's going to come down. It comes down in value, it comes down in effort, it comes down in people, everything. Otherwise nobody will continue to pay you, because in case your price is going up.
Right.
But it is that, you have to plot the whole thing in next 3 years. As I said that, it is first, as an MSP, you are going to make a large investment into that customer to understand, to do that, then transition period. It has to be first, BOU, how the business is happening as usual. Then you look at how do you really, optimize it. How do you really then, after the optimization has been done, how do you really ensure that it becomes more efficient? How value is there?
Correct.
And again, I'll, request everybody, who's looking at this. I'm sure that what I'm saying is no rocket science, but I think we need to learn from, our senior peers from very important thing. Whatever we do, how do we really articulate the value?
Correct.
I think the articulation of the value, both in terms of business. So, you can either say that you've saved, 10 rupees, or you can say that you've earned 20 rupees because your systems were not down. I mean, it is how do you do it?
Yeah.
Because most of the businesses, for example, you will get into, will have now the method to really turn every hour of 1 hour of downtime multiplied into the revenue loss which is there. So if they have that model, you will probably use your own modeling system to say that how much of money did you end up making on that particular thing. So articulation of the value is as equal and important as the work which we are delivering.
Correct. Thank you, Vishal sir. Let me move to Rahul sir. So Rahul sir, I'd like to put this question to you. So do you think MSSPs, yours is a large organization, but in general, other MSP, do you think in market, are MSSPs putting the right amount of money in terms of certification and investment and skills needed for being a true MSSP?
See, I think the way I would like to answer this question is, when we do a comparison between the MSSP and the large enterprise, large-scale IT service providers, we have to first question to ourselves, let's say from an IT service provider standpoint, that what is our core niche? What is something that the proposition or the position that we want to take in front of our customers, whether it is security, whether it is cloud, whether it is enterprise apps, whether it is digital, what we stand for. Okay, so based on that only our budgets, our investments can go into. Now, if we say that, and because of continuous change that we are seeing in the cybersecurity space, daily new threats come into picture, daily new vulnerabilities come into picture, daily new malwares come into picture, and so on. So we have to first ask question whether we are equipped enough at our end to handle those kind of exigencies, emergencies. Now, if as an IT service provider you believe that you cannot invest into that, you have to go to MSSPs. And because with this belief that MSSP are the players who are purely meant for this. So MSSPs, we believe that MSSPs are investing enough into those certifications, into those capabilities, because they are meant for that. So coming to your question whether MSSPs are investing enough, I believe that as leading IT service providers, we have the faith, we have the belief that because their core capabilities lies into propagating and scaling up the capabilities, offerings, or the headcounts in cybersecurity space. So if they are not doing today, they must be doing anytime sooner, because there are various moving factors behind this. So the change in the economical and political environment in West, okay, the Make in India policy that has been prevalent for past many years, I would say, and the focus of the government to promote the India-based products and solutions. It could be any domain. So these positive environmental factors should be encouraging the MSSPs to kind of scale up their capabilities in cybersecurity space, so that they can serve all the IT service providers as well as the government organizations as well. So my answer would be that from the IT service standpoint, IT service provider standpoint, we believe that MSSPs are doing, and if they're not, they must be scaling up their certifications. And because see, cybersecurity as a service offering, as a domain, as a industry is not very old. It's quite new. So, and also from the workforce standpoint, we see huge amount of attrition, right? Because technology is changing continuously. So if a large scale enterprise IT service provider is not able to retain their workforce, they always go out. Okay, so I think MSSPs must be investing enough. If they're not, they should start.
Right. So one follow-up question. Cybersecurity in general is facing this attrition issue.
Yes.
Especially how we take care in MSSP? Any advices or any particular
See, I think
program you are running?
As my fellow panelist gave example of TCS, right? So it's not the story only for TCS. It's the story of all the old horses in IT space who have actually been into existence for many years, that the fresher salaries are X and X and they have not increased. So I think all the new technology which are coming into space, whether it's cybersecurity or cloud, whatever it is. So I think the first important factor would be to kind of compensate based on the skill sets, based on the capabilities, and cybersecurity is emerging, always daily changing. The nuances of cybersecurity, the various components that need to be trained upon. Okay, so this world is changing on day-to-day basis. So yes, MSSPs must invest heavily into the talent that is actually giving. So the talent which actually is serious about cybersecurity as a career, okay, and not let them go because of number one, compensation issue. Second, learning and development environment. So MSSPs must create, and I think this is not only relevant for MSSP but also for the IT service providers who are partnering with MSSPs. So creating a harmonious learning and development environment, okay, in which the talent can actually evolve, can actually nurture. So I think these two I have always said in various other forums also, that in today's world when the talent is precious and is scarce, so compensation and creating a learning and development environment for the talent is something that everybody should focus on.
Thank you, Rahulji. Bridget, how do you think we can tackle this attrition issue? Your comments? advices on that?
Okay, so I guess this issue pertains to the MSSP cybersecurity team being pushed by other customers, other companies, and other MSSP, as well as burnout. So I address them in these two sessions. So cybersecurity, MSSP team, cybersecurity team itself, so they have to work very long hours, helping the customers to maintain a very good cybersecurity posture. They are constantly faced with a deluge of alerts coming from different data sources, and sometimes they do not have information or threat intel at their fingertips to know how to do it. Okay, so over time they may face burnout. So as from a vendor or OEM perspective, what they can do is they can try to automate as many processes as they can.
Right.
So that, to automate as many processes as they can, so that they can reduce the burnout and the alerts fatigue at the MSSP level.
Sure.
Yeah. So on the other aspects, we are also looking at career growth path being pushed by other MSSP or being pushed by other companies. So the MSSP, their cybersecurity team or their service team, are also normal people like us. They want career path. They want to have better salary, and that's why, because of this global shortage that we are facing now, everywhere they are, facing issues with retaining, with hiring, also with retaining their people. So for MSSP, they should have a career growth path, so that their security analyst can look forward to advancing within their organization, and also to do more interesting work.
Good. Thank you. So moving to you, King Shukda. So King Shukda, I will take the same point again, as you say, $125 abroad and maybe $20 in India. So abroad people can see the value straight away. One of the values, because that's most important, I will say. What are the compelling reasons for an Indian customer to look at MSSP? Would you be able to throw some light on that?
So who in India is able to?
Are you able to hear him?
Yeah. I hope I'm audible. Okay. So where is MSSP consumption happening in India? Let us say large Indian multinationals.
Correct.
Indian multinationals.
Right.
The government, some sectors may not be defense or where there's a sensitivity, but some areas of the government have opened up or have outsourced adequately. So has it percolated down to the SMBs? Not yet. Again, in India, finally everybody says, I will get this person at 10 lakhs from the market. Why should I pay, let us say I'm running a 24/7 operations. Any 24/7 operations, for one seat, you require 5 people. Actually, it's 4.25 plus some leaves, etc. You require 5 people to man one seat. Now he will say, okay, 50 lakhs. Now I will put a margin on top. It becomes, let us say, 65 lakhs. So he says, why should I pay you 65 lakhs for this one seat to be managed? I will try and do it myself. But the whole compelling reason is, the way we are doing it, we are delivering this service to many, many customers. So we are able to scale. If there is a turnover, I have enough pool. I have shadow resources. I have that competency, within my center, and to able to continue to deliver that level of certainty to our customers. But in your case, let us say your IT security team is 10 people. Out of that, suddenly 3 people says, I'm joining TCS. Okay. You're finished. And out of that, one chap is the team lead. You've ineffectively lost your complete IT team. But whereas in a large organization who's probably delivering your service is able to cope with it much better. While we also have turnovers, we also sometimes our customers also say, we are my team lead whom you're giving is also going, but we are able to quickly meet the gap. That is the advantage which an MSP comes.
Sure.
Have I answered?
Thank you. Yes or no, I will say, because it's a long way to go. I think it's a never-ending journey, I will say. However, we have to see, as you rightly said, India is still not ready for MSSP, if I got it correct, right? Okay, so how do you see the future of this managed services? This is the last question, actually.
So I will be very short. The future is bright. India is absolutely, you see, again, the indices, the Sensex or the Nifty over the last 2 weeks has suddenly shot up to, that was the first statement during this conversation, to 65,000 plus. So it is a shining India story.
Wow, good.
It is a shining India story. There will be IT consumption because IT will be used to leverage or take our business to the business to business or business to consumer, whatever be the model, and there will be requirement of workforce, skilled workforce, and MSP is a compelling model.
Okay, so it's like a script which we should invest, and it will go up as BSE index, is what you are doing.
Globally, let us look at the Fortune 1000 companies. 90% are gone for the MSP model.
Wow, great.
So can India story be different?
Also it can happen. Good.
So if India gets there, 90% of our large enterprises, medium enterprises will also adopt to this market.
Good.
So there is, it is a green story ahead.
Thank you very much.
I would
come
like
to the end of it, but yes.
Last sentence, maybe I would like to say
Add
that if MSSP is a small cap today, they have a large golden ground to cover, and opportunities are there to become a large cap.
That's true. Interesting. Good. Thank you so much, panelists, for your great views. I think we have come at the end of the time. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Wow, what a remarkable session was that. Can we have a round of applause for our moderator as well as for our panelists here who diligently curated such an interesting topic?